Hi, welcome to Chamber Chats. I'm Bruce Williams, the CEO of the Greater Victoria Chamber of Commerce. I'd like to begin, as always, by acknowledging that I live and work on the traditional ancestral territory of the Lekwungen-speaking Coast Salish nations, the Songhees and the Esquimalt. Our broadcast comes to you from the podcasting studios at Czech Television, and a shout out to our sponsors for the vodcast, and they are Island Savings, a division of First West Credit Union, and C-SPAN Victoria Shipyard. I'm just always curious to know, if you're at home watching this right now, are you in your home office? Or are you in your kitchen, which is the same as your home office, or your dining room, which is people working from home is what we're going to talk about today. And we have a few people in to talk with us about that. First of all, Ann Squires Ferguson is joining me right now. She is the CEO of Western Design Build, and Ann is a member of our chamber board as well. Ann, hi.
Thanks, Bruce. Hi.
Hi. Can you just tell us briefly what your company is and what you do?
Yeah, for sure. So we're a full service commercial design build company. So we are interior designers and construction managers. We design and build everything from the Expedia cruise ship travel center to the Acacia health clinics.
So when people are now in the position of finding themselves working from home, you must get a lot of inquiries about that.
We do, and the inquiries actually start with my staff. So it's the hot topic right now.
Yeah, we're going to talk about design changes and actual physical construction renovation changes. We're going to talk about furnishing your home office and what you need to be successful and comfortable above all. What are the questions that you hear, though, Ann? People are saying, I've been working at my dining room table for 6 months. I need to move around. I need to change that. What are you hearing from people?
One of the first questions is not even about constructed environment or about furnishings, but it's about making mental space, right? How do I separate my mental space, my workspace from my home life? We used to, really talk about boundaries, and all of those boundaries are being blurred right now. And so that is the first question is crafting a separation. And often we encourage that through ritual or routine. So, making a cup of tea, turning off the radio or the TV, having there be some separation between your home life and the 3 to 7 minutes that it takes you to transit and sit down at your workspace, whatever it is. And then the next question really is, how should I furnish it? And the luxury of construction comes a little bit later.
Yes, we're going to be talking with Caitlin McKenzie from Monk Office about that. Blaise McDonald is with us today, too. He is the president of Mac Renovations. Blaise, welcome to the podcast, to the Chamber Chat. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you, too.
So you're the guy that people call when they say, okay, I got to make some changes here. I'm tired of working out of my closet or my whatever. So what are the calls that you're getting? What are people asking you?
Anything from creating an outbuilding in the back, or how can we change one of the bedrooms, or moving kitchen spaces. It's been really wild and varied.
I'll bet it is. I could probably say to you, what's the most unique one you've done so far, and you wouldn't even know where to start. But have you done some kind of quirky things too, probably, that you could tell us about?
Yeah, small shacks in the backyard, sprucing those up. We've actually moved a couple kitchens when I bring that up.
Wow.
Just to make some space. Really depends on the age of the house and working within the footprint can save you some money. It's not getting any cheaper either.
No, I bet we'll come back and talk about that. So, Ann, when people are taking a look around their house and they realize that they have to create a unique working space for themselves, what is the most common thing that you're hearing about people doing? Is it a bedroom? Is it a closet? Is it adding onto a house?
Yeah, it's usually found space. So you're absolutely right. Often it's a corner of another room. So whether there's a guest bedroom or you're moving a desk into a corner of the dining space. So sometimes we're trying to carve out space from existing areas of use. And there are some really creative solutions in terms of acoustic partitions, in terms of furniture solutions that can perform multiple duties. So it can be a desk and a coffee table. It can pop up. It can flip out from the wall. So we're taking lessons right now actually from yacht interiors and airplane interiors. So we're looking at often customized hardware solutions.
So it's like a Murphy bed that becomes a desk or something.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Blaise, when people are coming to you and saying, I have to move this around, I have to make this change, do they usually have good ideas, or how often do you have to say to people, you know what, that's not really the smartest thing to do? How often does that happen?
Well, we try and phrase it a little bit different.
Yes, that's why I don't work for you.
Yeah, and we rely heavily on our design staff to come up with those. I'm not an ideas man myself. I'm more of a sticks and bricks. I can get it done, but we rely on the design staff to kind of pull out those wants and needs and find a solution that works for the space.
Yeah. Somebody's going to do the addition thing, like you said. That involves, again, a permit and all kinds of things, doesn't it? I guess depending on the municipality. But tell me about that.
Yeah, well, anytime you step outside into the exterior of the building, you're getting permits involved. So the design process can be long, and jumping through the hoops. So we kind of start with the feasibility and see when we can go from there.
Yeah. And is there something that's more popular than any others? Is it usually just repurposing a bedroom, or is it all kind of split evenly between parts of the house where people work?
I think Blaise just mentioned something talking about the exterior buildings, like supplementary buildings. And certainly that's where a lot of the interest and enthusiasm is right now. We hear about, man caves and she sheds and talking about creating space where there wasn't any. So we are all like turtles. We grow to the size of our terrarium, right? And so it can be hard to find more space within the four walls that you already have. And if you need to go outside of those, that's where we can have a lot of fun, and it gets really creative. And I would just comment on the permitting, from a residential standpoint, clients may, have some reticence to move into that. We actually see permitting as a real opportunity to have a dialogue with the municipality. And so it isn't a negative at all. And it isn't onerous. Blaise and his team, myself and my team, we go to permit weekly, if not daily. So if you have a professional to guide you through that process, there's nothing to be afraid of.
Okay. Blaise, you're going to add something there?
I mean, Ann coined it perfectly. That's...
Okay, good enough.
Yeah.
All right, next I want to talk about the actual physical construction that has to happen when this sort of project happens. So Blaise from Mac Renovation, let's talk about that, the actual construction part of it. One of the things that we've seen happen over the last 18 months, for example, is the price of lumber, for some reason, has gone through the roof. What is going on here?
Well, I mean, we have this discussion not only internally, but with the Canadian Home Builder Association. I sit on the board of directors. It's a multitude. You have housing starts south of the border. Demand. Victoria is a very desirable place to be for us that live here and the people that want to come. So I know they were talking about a slowdown in housing starts with the lower immigration, but it's not stopping domestic immigration to Vancouver Island.
Yeah. Is there substitute material that can be used? I don't know if that's maybe it's a dumb question. I don't know, but you always see something that's being framed by wood. Are there alternatives to that?
I mean, not really in our market. I mean, there's concrete ICF forms, different construction techniques. But as far as residential goes, that's our tried and true method.
Yeah. Okay. Ann, I'm going to go back to you now. Yeah. Okay. Ann, I'm going to go back to you now. Money is going to be a factor for everybody. You've either got lots of it or you don't have any, or you don't have enough. So how do you properly assess the budgeting you need to do around this sort of thing to create a home working space?
So we always start with a list of priorities, and then, so it's problem definition. We call it programming, and we're deciding precisely what it is that you need and how important those things are to you. And then we assess them. And so if something is $100,000 question versus a 50 versus a 5, to get some order of magnitude. And then a client can make a decision. And so we always encourage clients to move through that design process and keep all their options open and get those numbers. And so get those numbers from Mac Reno or your preferred contractor, get that number, and then make an informed decision. It's very hard to come at it from the other direction and have a number and try to fit things into it. And having said that, your design professionals, we are looking for opportunities for you in so many ways. Originally interior design might have been seen as a luxury profession, and very much now we're seen as essential, that we can save you an enormous amount of money if we spend the time in the design phase when it's just lines on paper, when we're not actually moving things around on site.
Yeah, one of my mottos in life is I will try any home improvement project once before I hire somebody to do it right. So after a while, you learn that
Wise, wise.
that's what you have to do. But looking behind you, for example, Anne,
Yeah,
we see different things behind different people in different
yeah,
places all the time. So you're opening up a part of your life to people
I
that you're
am.
doing business with. So that's that whole boundaries thing again, isn't it?
It is absolutely. And of course, I'm in the studio right now. So this is, we always say, this is our box of crayons. So these are the toys that we get to color with. And I do have a home office as well. But with 11-year-old twins, it's slightly less serene than this one. So, talking
Yeah.
about boundaries.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah.
Well, look at all they're learning from you while you're working in front of them. That's maybe a little lesson
Yeah,
for them
well,
too.
I've got child labor. I use them to organize the samples.
That's mentorship, I think, is what that's called.
Is that what
Let's
we're calling it?
We'll go with that. Yeah. Blaise, Mac Renovations. What about the supply chain? We talked about the price of lumber. There are different parts of the economy and different sectors are having issues with sourcing materials to do what they do. Aside from lumber, are you finding that problem? And what about labor too?
It's pretty widespread, and it's plumbing fixtures. We're waiting 6 months for stoves and fridges, for kitchen renovations, insulation. You keep hearing these things. All we can do is kind of stay on top, and then through our design phase, we're making sure that we're speccing items that are within the supply chain. Scheduling is very important. It's why it's important to make those decisions before you get into construction,
Mm-hmm.
so that we have an idea of we build our schedule of when we can get those items. And then labor is a completely different. Like, we've been looking for an operations manager, some project managers, carpenters. Drop resumes off. Come on out.
Yeah, seriously, if anybody thinks they would like to apply for those positions, your website is macrenovation.com, I believe.
MacReno.com.
Macreno.com. There you go. See a little job board here for you too on the Chamber chat. Blaise, we're going to let you go and get back to work, and Ann and I are going to continue our conversation. Blaise is with Mac Renovation, as we said. So next, we're going to furnish your home office. So furnishing your home office is something that takes a lot of things into consideration. Ann Squires Ferguson is with us from Western Design Build. I want to welcome Caitlin McKenzie, who is the CEO of Monk Office. And this will be one of the more interesting backdrops you've probably seen in a meeting for quite some time, because Caitlin is at the cottage. Hi, Caitlin. How are you?
Hello, I'm well. How are you?
Okay, so I know that's a wood stove because you're at Shawnigan
Yeah.
Lake. Let's talk about
Yeah.
your furry friend there. Who's that?
This is a boar, a wild boar,
I see.
and we've named her Rebecca.
Okay, and what's Rebecca wearing for jewelry today? What's that around her neck?
This is a life ring,
life preserver. Preserver.
a
Right.
life preserver from the Princess Marguerite,
Oh, okay.
the original.
Yeah.
So it is. I think we just started to run out of some wall space in the cabin, so it became a necklace.
Yeah. Okay, so this is
As
not
you
your,
do.
yeah, there you go. This is not your normal working mojo where you are, but you're in the comfort of your
No.
cottage. So the really most general question is, how's business?
We are very fortunate. Business is okay.
Yeah.
Business is good. It is it by virtue of this pandemic forcing everyone to be working from home and reevaluating what that looks like. Our business supplying those pieces of furniture,
Yeah.
has made us an essential service, and for that we are grateful.
So the day-to-day office supply thing is still, I mean, you deliver things to people, you'll deliver paper to an office or a house or wherever. But when people have made that decision that their working from home thing is going to be a big part of their lives,
Yeah.
if it's anything like my circumstance, the first thing I realized after a very uncomfortable period of time was, God, I need a better chair. Is that where it starts?
Chair.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I have to say, in all honesty, that concept of ergonomics, I mean, it caught me off guard, but it's a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of professions that sit in a chair all day, and therefore it would be very important to them, and they would have noticed it a lot sooner than many of us. I'm fortunate enough that I get to walk around, and I will go and speak with team members or customers or what have you. But when you are sitting in a chair, it is extraordinarily important for you, your body, and your mindset to be ergonomically friendly. Like everything's connected, the neck to the toes, and this has really sped that up, the public catching on to the importance of ergonomics.
Yeah. Neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, that's no good. Nobody wants that.
No.
You're not at your productive best when that's going on.
No, I mean, that's how headsets were invented. Remember the ear
Yeah.
the ear pads
Yeah.
that everyone used to use? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm old enough to remember using one of those, as a matter of fact. So the chair is one thing, but if you've been sitting at your dining room table or whatever, the height of the desk is the next best thing you have to. So walk me through the ergonomics of that. Like where do your shoulders have to be? Where do your arm position and all that? Is that figured
So
out by?
you want everything to be at a 90-degree angle. And I was I was seeking some input from some of our experts that I work with, and I learned that the desk was created with a 6'2" man in mind.
Hmm.
I'm 5'3" and a bit, 5'4" if I'm feeling real good. And like that doesn't work. That's nearly a foot shorter than the average, like what these desks were made of. And I think that's really where the sit stand idea came into place. Then you add in that whole comment and concept around sitting is the new smoking, and if you're just sitting all day, you're not moving, your blood isn't pumping,
Yep.
etc. And so the sit stand desk is probably an ideal place to go for comfort, because you have options. You have the options to stand, you have the options to share, you have the options to adjust that, not your chair, because Bruce, if you did go forward with finding a good chair, it's almost like as a driver's seat in a car. As soon as you have that position locked down, you don't want to change it.
Yeah. So the adjustable desk is one. It's electric, I guess. Usually, is that right? Is that how it works? Yeah.
Yep. There's an up arrow and a down arrow. It's simple.
Man, even I can figure that out. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So, Anne, in the design of an office now at home, when you're making these choices, it's going to be the dimensions that best fit in the room where you're going to be, right? So let's talk about that a little bit to make sure that everything doesn't, look like 10 pounds of dirt in a 5-pound bag, if you will, but everything's got to look and work right, right?
It does, absolutely. And it really depends on what the person is using their desk for. And so if most of their work is done on screen, you can go with a much smaller footprint. Or if they're doing a lot of layout work, if they're, transcribing drawings. So engineers, for instance, often have large scale prints next to them, and actually we're very precise in the handedness. So if you're left-handed or right-handed, which side you're going to need that layout area on, and whether or not you're going to need that to raise and lower with your work surface. So some people have a stationary return, we call it, on either the left or the right, and then just their working surface for their monitor and keyboard goes up and down. Others require the entire piece to be laid out. So in terms of ergonomics, there are a lot more questions, and it really does, it's driven by use, right? What does that person do? And as Caitlin mentioned, body type and all body abilities. And so there's a huge, we've worked with people who have light sensitivity. We've worked with people who have various issues with long-term standing. And so we're providing mats. So I know that's another thing that you can source through Monk Office is the standing mats that can really decrease that strain on the joints. So, it comes from forming a really solid relationship with your provider, with your ergonomic assessor, with your supplier, with your designer, and getting into the nitty-gritty, spending the time to make sure that those questions are asked and answered.
Yeah. And in my case, it's very important that a desk is suitable and comfortable to put your feet up on. I find that is a really important part of my day on a pretty regular basis.
You joke, but I do that all the time.
Oh, I do it all the time too. Absolutely. It helps me think better, especially when I'm on the phone, hands-free.
Therefore, you need the tilt in your chair. Tilt machine. Yeah.
I hear you. Caitlin, people are always going to have stuff around too, right? Because if you've got paperwork that you're dealing with, so filing cabinets, that sort of thing, that's another factor altogether. How do you work with that?
So I think Filing cabinets have been around for a very long time, as we know, and I think they will always be around. What we have seen with the shift to working from home and needing storage, people are getting really creative. And I'll admit that the stereotypical storage or filing cabinet is not ideal for your home.
No.
And I think that a lot of people have been leveraging finally being able to, pretty up their space, pretty up their desk, their environment, making it inspirational, what have you. And so having, a manila colored, 4-drawer filing cabinet behind them is not ideal. Nor, speaking to what Ann was saying, the space isn't there. There have been a lot of inventions around, like there's a 1-drawer filing cabinet that's a pedestal and it will slide under your desk. So it can also be used as a seat for a companion, or if you just have someone looking over your shoulder for a moment or two, because it's not ergonomic, obviously, to sit on that all day long. But things have come a long way as far as storage, what that looks like, the size, the shapes, the usage. Over the last few years, but we've really noticed a push for that to be purchased by the consumer, because they don't have the space at home. And if they're in a cubicle or a smaller office at home, now they have, whether it's their dining room or that second bedroom or the garage or what have you, they have a bit more space to play.
Well, it's always important to consult with a professional in whatever you're doing, and designing a home office is no difference at all. So, Caitlin McKenzie, thanks for being here. Caitlin is the CEO of Monk Office. You can find things on their website, and they're happy to consult with you on what you're going to do with your home office. And Ann Squires Ferguson, CEO of Western Design Build, same thing. Seek the help of a professional like her to find out what you're doing. Thank you both very much for being a part of this today.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Have a great day.
It's great to see you.
Bye.
Thank you all for watching us and tuning in. You can find these, I keep saying vodcast or podcast, on the Czech News website and on the Chamber website. And we want to thank once again our sponsors, Island Savings, a division of First West Credit Union, and C-SPAN Victoria Shipyards. I'm Bruce Williams. We'll see you again for the Chamber Chat.
For more episodes of Chamber Chats, go to czechnews.ca/podcasts.